Hey guys, Man here for a basically another late night deck profile. As you can see from the title, we are looking at my top four Machinedramon deck. Surprisingly, it took me I think about a full week and a half to finally decide on basically using this deck because I basically tested out almost every meta deck and I just didn't really feel great with it. The only other deck that I genuinely felt that I knew really well, that I could take to the take to the championships and like feel like I could not misplay. Specifically was this deck and Bloomlord. Those were like the only two decks I actually felt comfortable enough. But instead of going with Bloomlord, which surprisingly nobody did, but mainly I chose this because of its very good matchup against Shine Greymon, because specifically Shine Greymon cannot get rid of Machinedramon because of his, especially the EX1 version specifically, because it just says can't be DP reduced, which basically stops them from doing any damage to your board, and potentially the fact that if you have all four of your analog mans, you are not letting attacks through basically. You are basically guaranteed to block every single attack. Um, for the Sword Champions, I actually didn't run into Shine Greymon, surprisingly. I heard about 3 or 4 people were playing the deck, which is pretty insane that I just didn't see them. I ended up playing against round one, Diaboro. That match I did lose mainly because I just didn't see a blocker level 5 that helped me, set up. I had everything else except for the blocker, which basically cost me the game. Uh, Round two, I just 2-0 Jesmon. The DGG evolving in this deck really, really hurts Jesmon because it basically makes it so that they can't really, swing for game basically next turn. And along with that, having Metal Mamemon in the deck basically allows you to pop their Sistermon that causes them to become blockers. So they automatically just get they basically just lose. And same with the Megadramon, the dual black red version. It also kills Sistermon, which basically stops them from preventing any of your attacks. And the fact that this deck not only has reboot, it has blocker, it has just anything that can basically take out like small dudes basically. And having Analog Man redirect means they literally cannot get through the board. So it's pretty funny, but that's just how the deck works at this point because yeah, but then game three, I played against Alpha. Alpha was a very close match. The fact that Alpha has access to DDG evolving as well is pretty strong, but it can only do it once. And as long as you basically set up your stack to have Chaos Dramon with Machine Dramon underneath, or Chaos Dramon X with both Chaos and Machine underneath, you're basically set. And even if they DDG evolve it, you're still basically fine regardless. Even better if they do actually reduce it all the way down to BT11 Machine Dramon, because you basically get to play a EX1 Machine Dramon for free, or basically another copy of the BT11 one. I actually won the game mainly because I basically redirected the attack to Chaos Dramon X. That trashed basically most of his security in the process, and then in the end, basically, I played the EX1 to pass for turn to go back to mine at 3, and then I just swung with 4 attacks, basically. I had a Machine Dramon, EX1 Machine Dramon, another EX Machine Dramon that was still alive somehow, a Dorumon from Raising, and then I had just a Tankmon sitting there because basically Machine Dramon was just like kind of covering him off to the side. Like Machine Dramon was just kind of like standing in front of him, blocking attacks, while he just kind of chilled and like, I don't know, did recon or something. I don't know, but he was just standing there for like the longest time before he helped me swing for game. But yeah, those were all my matchups. Let's actually get into deck profiles so you can see what I mean about the deck. So of course for the eggs, Machine Dramon being how it is with tucking sources, just like Alphamon, you run 4 AA Dorimons, because Dorimon gaining you that extra draw can potentially mean drawing Chaos X or drawing into the EX1 Machine Dramon that you need to basically set up for next turn. Really solid, honestly. This one has actually drawn me some of the crucial cards I've needed, especially after the evolution into Chaos Dramon, so pretty cool. You have to run at least 3. This is a must for all Machine Dramon decks. This is basically at this point the best egg for the deck because it just helps you, you're basically cycling through your deck with the draws, and you need this absolutely 100%. The only other egg I would genuinely consider would be Pagu, but it requires deletion, and you usually don't want your guy to be deleted, so it's not as good. This one I feel is better because you get to draw and just keep searching like every turn as long as you keep evolving, so I like this a little bit more. Then for level 3s, we only run actually 8. We run 4 of the Dorumons. This one basically you don't ever play it out. You basically just use it for evolution and the memory game when you tuck something underneath with Chaosdramon or Chaosdramon X. So basically he's just there for that. Then we have 4 Hagurumons because this guy is the main dude of the deck, basically helping you search by discarding 2, which does help set up your trash, which also sets you up for an EX1 Machinedramon. I actually finally had to play EX1 Machinedramon like a hard play. This is actually probably the first time I've done that since like BT10, so kind of weird, but it actually got me the game because of the fact that he can't be DP reduced, he can't be like taken out, and if you evolve Chaosdramon on him and then X, you basically just get back everything you lost anyway, which the deck could not do back in the day because that's just how Machinedramon was back then. It just was just a meme deck or just a it was just a normal deck that just didn't have that great of protection, but now it has almost every single protection in the existence of the game, aside from maybe preventing removal from play, because one Chaos Degrade is going to take him out. But at the same time, they just gave you a ton of memory to work with, so it honestly never really factored in, which is kind of funny. That's all the level 3s we run. For level 4s, we run specifically 3 Numamon. This is just the original BT2 one. I just like him for the 3 cost thing. It's very nice. I never actually had to hard slam him, but I usually just use him for his 1 cost evolution. And, being killed by Numamon is pretty funny, so I like running him. Then we run 3 Tankmons. Tankmon is also very solid for the fact that you could just pass them to 3 if they have a memory setter, and the fact that it's a 1-cost evolution, and it's a cyborg that you can discard with Hagurumon, so we run at least 3 of these. Then we run 2 of the Guardiomons from EX1. This one's still really solid. The fact that it's a blocker, it sucks that it can't attack, but it's inherit is probably the best thing about it because you basically discard a machine or cyborg when you attack, especially with Chaosdramon or machine. You get to draw 2, and then you just set up basically. So pretty solid. Some builds do run more than 2, but I personally prefer it at 2 because it's good, but surprisingly, I've never actually had to use this effect ever. I've mainly used it occasionally when I actually made a proper stack, but most of the time I'm going to Tankmon or Numamon because I want that cheaper evolution. So I just keep it at 2 for now because it's still very good, but I honestly would rather like just run more of this and this because that way I just see the evos no matter what. That's all for level 4s. For level 5s, we of course run the Andromon from EX1, the regional participation one. This one's really it's solid. It's basically the same as these other 2, the Metal Tyranno and a Metal Mame. They all search the top 3 cards of the deck basically, and you basically get to add a level 6 and trash the rest. The only difference between them all is mainly their inherits. Andromon will give blocker, Metal Tyranno gives reboot, and Metal Mame will give you a deletion of 5 cost or less when you attack, so pretty solid. Yeah. Then we run 1 pre-release Gigadramon because it has jamming, which is really crucial sometimes. The fact that you could just swing in, evolve into Machinedramon, then reboot for that is pretty solid. Also, yeah, its inherit is really good. Reboot is really hard to come by. Then we run 1 Gigadramon. Because this is also treated as red, and also the fact is that it gives our Machinedramon a plus 2,000. This actually, I feel like in game 1 against Alpha and Jesmon, this actually got me like the protection because their Digimon just could not get over it, especially Alphamon. If they don't equip enough sources that give plus 1,000, they basically can't breach over Machinedramon, which is weird because usually 14 is pretty easy for it, but that's only if it goes to or you can, which is, that's just how it is. But it's kind of funny how busted this card was. This card was honestly the MVP because it kept my guy alive because a lot of the time I was just like my Machinedramon was just too strong and they just could not get through. Then we run 1 of the Cyberdramon from EX3. I've been going back and forth with this card, but I decided to add it back in last minute, and it actually was pretty good. In conjunction with Gigadramon, you're basically giving your guy plus 4,000. So BT11 Machinedramon becomes like 15. Same with the original EX1, and then with Chaosdramon he becomes like 17, and then with Chaosdramon X he becomes 17 as well. So it's really solid, honestly, especially because you want to set up your analog mans as well as fast as possible. So you usually will have this effect go off, and yeah. Then we run for the last black level 5. We run the new Metal Greymon from EX4. Just the fact that he's a blocker, really good, and then he gives blocker, so that's basically why we run him. He will be replaced once the new starter deck comes out. I actually honestly might take out this Cyberdramon to fit in the other Metal Greymon, but aside from that, we're keeping him for now. For red level 5s, we run one of the BT 1 Metal Greymon, mainly for its plus 3000 boost. Everything else doesn't matter, it's just that boost. Then we have one Megadramon from EX1. This one, I haven't had to use its on-play effect, but mainly I'm giving security +1 to my guy. Then we run one Metal Greymon, also from EX1. This one gives piercing, so gotta at least run one. I know a lot of builds have cut him, but that piercing is actually really strong sometimes. Though, at the same time, it honestly didn't come up at all half the time. It came up like once against Jesmon, but aside from that, it was fine. I feel like if I were to cut this, it would just be to fit the new Metal Greymon that I mentioned that's coming on the starter deck, and that's about it. For dual colors, we run two Metal Greymons, of course, because this one gives that D-Digivolving, and it does help you pop stuff, so pretty cool. And, of course, it lets you attack unsuspended, which is really strong with Machinedramon, because with this one, you're basically boosting him up to at least 17 and punching, so you're going to be doing a lot of damage on them. Then we also run one Megadramon. Originally, I was running two, but now that there are less Tamer-reliant decks, especially in and against like Shine, this doesn't really work. This one is specifically just to take out, like for example, like small like Agumons and other stuff, and potentially like Cool Boys and Yugis and just any 3-cost Tamers. So really strong, just at 1 so far, even then. Then we run one pre-release Metal Tyranno dual color as well. This one helps you just get rid of their security every time you block, so then next turn you're basically going for lethal every time, so pretty good. Also, it does have a cool suspension effect, but that's only if you have Tamers on board, which does work on certain occasions, like when you have like 4 analog mans and you suspend everything. That is pretty solid, but at the same time, you'd rather just keep this, in raising most of the time, so I haven't really done that, honestly, so it's kind of a mood thing for me. That's all for level 5. We run exactly 6, 10, 14. Originally, I was running 13, but I decided to up the count specifically to add that plus boost. I might honestly replace them, as I said. Either of these two will be taken out for the new Metal Gray, just depends on my preference. For level 6s, we are, of course, running 3 Chaosdramon, because Chaosdramon is basically the most powerful card in this deck because of the D-Digivolve by 1 for every single card you equip onto them. And if you equip 3, you're guaranteed to D-Digivolve them by 3, and then if you do it correctly, you'll go back to 0, and then you can attack unsuspended, kill their stack, and then make them restart. So really powerful. And the fact that all turns, he can't be deleted or returned to the hand or deck as long as you can detach 2 parts. So he's immune to blue, he's immune to basically being deleted by a lot of decks, so really strong. Then we run 3 of the BT13 Machinedramon, mainly for searching and equipping, but also if you already have Analog Man on board and you have another Machinedramon in hand, you're basically setting this up no matter what, so really solid. And you're trashing stuff at the same time to set up for the Chaosdramon to equip next turn. The on-deletion effect, as I mentioned, lets you summon a free Machinedramon, but you have to bottom deck Analog Man, which is really... I mean, that's okay, but it works if you have multiple Analog Mans and you can afford to get rid of one, which is really good. And then we run... Oh, yeah. And then we run 2 Chaosdramon X's. This guy is super busted. The fact that on Digivolve, he gains both these guys' effects if, they're both underneath him. You get to do his effects, search, equip with Chaosdramon, and then you get to just do stuff. But at the same time, all turns, whenever he were to die, you can detach, protect him if you have these other 2 underneath, and then you get to trash the security because he basically died, quote unquote. So he will trash their security, which is really cool. And there is actually a really cool ruling that I found out about where, for example, if you don't have the EX1 Machinedramon underneath this and your opponent DP reduces it to 0, he can actually continuously detach all of his parts, and for each delete, he gets to trash a security card. So that means that you can basically detach everything and trash like 4 of their security in the process, and play a Machinedramon in the process to basically go for game, which is insane how that works, because the fact that he can just keep preventing his deletion, it's basically the same thing like with Greymon, where even if he's DP reduced, he can still technically detach 2 of the same level to prevent his deletion, but it will still go through that he dies because he's at 0. But with how this deck works, basically, you basically get to just trash their entire security and then go for lethal next turn, which is really insane. But yeah, we run 2 of them. And then for the last 2 level 6s, we run 2 of the EX1. This card, honestly, is the MVP of this format, mainly because, as you know, Shine Greymon is one of the #1 decks and is topping basically the most and is seeing the most representation. But this guy literally says, you can't do anything to me, you can't kill me, I'm going to redirect all your attacks, and you're basically not going to get to do anything. Mainly because of his old effect is that this Digimon's DP cannot be reduced. It's all turns. It's permanent. So basically, as long as he's on the board and you have Analog Mans, none of the Marcuses will be getting through. Shine Greymon might be able to get through, but then he's just going to get de-digivolved by Chaos when you evolve on top, and then you Chaos X and devolve it even further. So this guy is probably one of the most crucial cards in the deck this format because of Shine Greymon. I've actually, like in tests, I've actually had to hard evolve this on top of something instead of hard playing it. And you know what? It actually won me the game because I had 2 Analog Mans and I would just redirect all their Marcuses. I mean, sure, they're in security, but who cares, because you're just going to swing and just trash their security continuously anyway. You don't even need to swing, honestly, because as long as something dies, this will trigger and then trash the Marcus so they can't get it back regardless, which is really busted. Anyway, yeah, so that's all the level 6s we run in the deck. The rest of the deck is all options and Tamers, of course, because this being Machinedramon, we have to run Analog Man. For options, I originally only had 3 of these, but now I have 4 Black Memory Boost. This card comes in handy specifically with the fact of the evolution into the level 6. You basically just, most of the time how I won was I would basically just evolve all the way up to one of these in raising, then I'd push it up, pop the memory boost, go into Chaosdramon, absorb, go back to 0, and then evolve again into Chaos X, and then that would just basically let me set up the ultimate guy, and then I would just continuously basically stop them from attacking me. So it was just that over and over. And then we run 2 of Attack of the Heavy Mobile Digimon. Honestly, this card is amazing because in my match against Jesmon, if this was not in my security, I honestly would have lost a ton of security because the Jesmon was already checking for 2 checks. But the first thing that it hit was this, and I deleted it by discarding a Machinedramon, which was insane how powerful that is. The fact that it just deletes something that is the same play cost is really strong, and the fact that this gives rush and blitz to any on-play effect to a level 6. So basically with this, you're guaranteed to go for a game if, let's say, you swung for all the security and then you happen to have one of these and you still have like 2 memory, you just hard slam this, absorb, swing for game. That's just, and you could do the same with any of these. I actually won my game against Jesmon because I hard played Chaosdramon, de-digivolved their GX all the way down to a Sistermon because they had Jogressed, and then that basically allowed me to blitz into it and kill it, and then basically at that point he had decked out, so I won because of that mainly. But it was just insane how powerful Chaosdramon X is because he just literally can't die half the time, and when he dies, he just makes another Machinedramon and just redo the whole process again. So it's honestly really broken. But yeah. Then, of course, for Tamers, this being a Machinedramon deck, we are running 4 Analog Mans. I managed to get them all pre-release. They will all become the new event version with the nice gray borders, but for now we have all pre-releases. This guy is still the best Tamer I've ever seen. Most people could say probably like Yuya's really good, Ty's really busted. Nah, Analog Man is, I feel like he is honestly the best Tamer because not only does he gain you a memory, but he also lets you discard and set up, and he gets to redirect. Most Tamers I've seen only have about 3 effects total. Or no, actually no, they only have 2 effects total in general because they have the main of either giving you a memory or something or doing something with memory, and then they have a secondary effect of like minusing DP or increasing or doing something. But Analog Man, I think, is basically the only Tamer that I've ever seen that has 3 different, don't quote me on this, but so far I've seen that this is probably the only one that has 3 different effects. Not only does it give you memory, but it also gives you a discard to set up for your Machinedramons, but then you also get to redirect. There's a lot of Tamers that are really good, like Mark. Well, the best one honestly at the current format right now is Marcus, giving you 3 Evo. This one of them gives you minus 3,000. One of them gives you minus 3,000 and a memory. It also sets your memory, so that's probably the only 3 effect Tamer I've seen so far. Aside from that, but this one I feel is honestly better because of just how strong it is. The fact that you get to set up and redirect attacks, and you get to use it to in conjunction with BT11 to summon another one is just, that's just too strong, honestly. And I can see why they limited this card to 1 for the regionals, because it's just too strong. Honestly, it's way too strong. But yeah, that's the deck so far. As I mentioned, my matchups were 3 very weird decks. It like only maybe one of them would be considered, like 2 of them would be considered meta, but I didn't actually end up playing like Shine or like Bell for anything. So it's like this is not like a super hard match most of the time. But the Alpha and the Jesmon were probably the scariest because they can OTK you super fast, honestly. But I feel this deck has a super, as I mentioned before, in a lot of other, like in my previous profile in EX4, this has a very solid matchup against a lot of decks, especially in BT13 because A, you have Shine Greymon specifically for DP reduction, which this deck can just negate completely. You have Belphamon, which swings a lot, but at the same time, this guy can't die. So they have to expend a lot of resources just to kill it. Then we have like Mirage and like Rose and stuff, and it's like, yeah, sure, you can suspend their whole board, but at the same time, he's still big, and you still have Tamers, and you can still do stuff. And then at the same time, then you also have like what else is in the meta? Like Mirage got, yeah, Rose, you got that. Oh yeah, Royal Knights. Royal Knights is really like insanely strong, but at the same time, you can basically set up your guy faster than they can do their turn, basically. And then if you have all 4 Analog Mans, you're basically just passing turn. And the cool thing is that you can potentially redirect 4 different Royal Knights if Omnimon only played about like, you know, maybe 4 or 5 guys. You can block 4 attacks, and then you can let your Chaos Dramon X die, summon this, and then you get to go, okay, I passed to my turn. Okay, all your guys are suspended. Okay, I'm going to go for game with Piercing, killing one of your other guys. And then at that point, they can't really do anything because they have already popped their Yggdrasil, so you basically win at that point. And yeah, just basically, like, this deck has basically the versatility to go against almost every meta deck, surprisingly, which I feel is why I managed to get top 4, because it's just, it has ways to get around a lot of other things. The fact that it has so much protection equal to like almost like a Greymon is really strong. I highly recommend trying this deck out. As I mentioned, a lot of times this is just my own personal template version of it. You can modify it however you want to make it, you know, fit your playstyle. Like you can switch out the level 5s. Honestly, I've seen so many variants with it that I honestly can't keep up at this point. But this is just what I think is good for my meta. But your meta might be different. You might end up having like dudes that play like Mirage Galga or like stuff that draws a lot. So you could potentially tech in the blue Mach Galgamon to help you unsuspend. You can tech in like a bunch of other stuff. Like, hold on, I actually have it with me. You can tech in one more Megadramon for blocker. You can tech this in to give another plus 2,000 alongside this Metal Greymon, which will boost him by 50. Basically boosting him by 5,000. You can make this guy 18,000. You can make this 16. You can make this 17. Really strong. Then you have like Volcanomon for the extra security check. And as I mentioned, the Mach Galgamon that lets you unsuspend if they have 8 or more cards. Then we also have the other Mach Galgamon that lets you unsuspend if they add a card to hand. So there's a lot of options, and of course, you know, second one of these, and then another one of these. So this deck has a lot of versatility, and it always can change, which is really cool. The fact that it can just adapt over time, just like kind of like one of my favorite decks, Security Control, it can just keep adapting. So it's pretty cool that it can do that and has so many ways to protect itself. But yeah, that's my that's my Machinedramon deck profile. But yeah, as usual, like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you thought of the deck, and I'll see you guys next time.